Hey, Mr. Glenn Spiritis, how you doing today, sir?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Towns. How are you today?
I'm good, man. You know, the best thing about this conversation is that we have a real friendship. So I'm trying to make sure, I tag everybody in here because I want everybody to get this get this conversation. So that's what I'm doing real quick, making sure everybody logs in, which I rarely do. But I'm happy to have this conversation with you. I'm actually You're one of my good friends, and you're someone who has been a good mentor to me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And I do consider you a good friend. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of good meals together, so
Yeah.
I want to make sure I tag a lot of people in here on this one, because what this conversation is needed today, and I think we're doing it injustice if we don't um, get more people to hear what's going on today, and I'll join more people as it goes on. Um, Mr. Spiritus, we've been friends, and I've had some amazing conversations with you. And like I said, I consider you to be a friend. You've been a mentor. And I was watching the debate the other night with, I forgot the group. You had the amazing Ray Whiteley, Chuck Ridley,
Fine.
Marvin, Salika Brown, Unified, which
Right.
has amazing debates. And I always try to be impartial, and I even with our friendship, try to be remove the bias. And something happened yesterday that I didn't like in the conversation. That's something I didn't agree with. Someone made a comment that despite all your experience and all the things that you've been doing, saying that it's irrelevant because you only set policy, which I think is wrong simply because that is the problem that's been happening in Riviera Beach and other urban communities. We vote off popularity, we vote off the people that we can control or we're comfortable with. But when they don't have that much knowledge, you're almost slave to who you're working for. So my point is, I think it's the difference. The fact that your resume is amazing, you know government, you know policy, you know contracts, that makes it that gives accountability. So when something does come in, you're able to actually question and say, "Hey, I don't agree with this," or "We need to look at this issue here in the contract," or "We need to speak on that." And I think that's what we've been doing so long. So if I don't know anything, I'm constantly having to refer to my manager or staff because I don't understand it. So what did you think about that? Because that was something that bothered me, and I didn't agree with it.
Right. If you're going to set policy, you better be familiar with everything you're setting policy about. You can't just take other people's opinions. You're elected by the people to have that knowledge and have that understanding. And I believe that I have that knowledge and understanding when it comes to city planning, comes to environmental issues. This is what I've been doing most of my life. And it is important that your legislators don't just depend upon a city manager or a department head to tell them what the policy should be. They should be able to understand for themselves whether that is good policy or bad policy that's being advocated or recommended to them. And I have the ability to do that and to work with the other city council members to advise them as well.
And I think that's important, especially when we since 2016 the water issue is something I spoke out on. We've campaigned on it twice, and the water plant, city hall, we've had stuff that we keep campaigning on it, but we've not made any progress. So I'm like, when you go to most cities, you'll have a dais full of a former doctor. You have a doctor, attorney. You have a all-star cast of people that bring something to the table. So that's why I think it's so impactful to have someone like you who, hell, I mean, to be honest, looking at your background, you've worked in a city just like Riviera Beach, and you changed it.
That's
Both
correct. That's correct. I work in the village of Hempstead, which is the largest village in the United States. It's about three times the size as Riviera Beach, but it is almost identical in racial makeup and economic situations, median income. And we were able to successfully turn that community around. We can certainly do the same thing in Riviera Beach. You brought up the water issue, and that, is one of my prime issues. Going back to 2016, the city spent over $1 million on engineers, independent engineers, who, without going into the technical study itself, their last sentence of their report was very telling. It said that the city's water plant and transmission system is in cardiac arrest and needs to be replaced. It can't be any more simple than that. I don't know why nothing has happened to that end since 2016, but I can tell you that I spent 2 days on the phone with DEP, with people in a program similar to the program I'm working with and have worked with in New York. I figured the same program exists here in Florida because it's federal funds that goes to the state. So I did speak with the head of this program, and yes, the funds do exist. It's the Drinking Water Revolving Loan Program. It's the Clean Water Act funds from the federal government that trickle down to the states. So the state has the same program, Florida, as the one in New York. And the only problem is City of Riviera Beach never applied. The funds are there. They're willing and able to help us with the planning, with the design, and with the construction. The funds are a 20-year loan at a 0.5% interest, which is like getting free money. And because of our median income, a large portion of this gets turned into a grant. We never applied. We could have used that money that the city just spent this year to purchase land that they claim for a new water plant. But I understand they're first hiring an engineer now, or they hired an engineer now to determine whether that land is even capable of being used for the water plant. So they put the cart before the horse. They should have been working with the state, with people that specialize in this and this type of programming from the very beginning. I don't know why this hasn't happened, but certainly when I become a councilman, I'm going to make sure that we work closely with the state. I already have a rapport with those people. I spent 2 days speaking to them just this week, and we got to get moving on this as fast as possible. Yes, we have to repair the existing water plant because it's going to take us time to build a new water plant. And of course, the engineer's report from 2016 said that all the city's been doing is a Band-Aid fix and repairing the existing water plant, which is not the right way to go. So I will make sure that the plant actually gets built. I won't talk about it. I won't talk about possible things. I'm going to make it happen. Results you can see.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said it because it's 2021. This has been going on to 2016, and that's when we start campaigning. So the water incident has actually been going further back than that. Now I want to say something that's funny to you. In Riviera Beach, one thing that bothered me is in any other city, you have politics. You have people that can debate, agree to disagree. This is my approach. This is your approach. I think my plan is better, but you guys shake hands and you guys still have respect to know that we both have the same goal. We just have different plans, but whoever wins, we're going to help each other to make sure this plan goes forward for the benefit of all people. But in Riviera Beach, it's more like slander. Over the last couple decades, Riviera Beach is about slander. It's about putting out some untrue stuff to discourage voters or just make a person turn a deaf ear to the other person. So I heard so many people say, who's Dr. Glen Spiritis? And when they call him, like, hey, this is my guy. But you know, the most amazing thing that probably had me laugh and then really get upset, that someone put out there that Dr. Glen Spiritis is racist. Now, the thing that took me off, we've had meals together. We've had conversations together. You've met my kids. And it bothered me because they had never met you. Oh. And the second thing was, how do you spread something so ugly about someone? So I had to share that. I'm not even asking you that. What are your thoughts on that? Because I thought it was disgusting, and it just bothered me. I apologize.
Horace, I spent 30 years dedicating my life to revitalizing minority communities. Mm-hmm. My mentor in life was Dr. Paul Zuba, who is a civil rights icon. He handled desegregation cases to the Supreme Court. He was my mentor. He was the director of my program at Rensselaer. Uh, my whole life has been dedicated to helping the minority, uh, families and throughout the country. I do a lot of pro bono work as well in minority communities. As a matter of fact, one of my other close friends, Bill Hester, who worked with me in Hempstead, New York, uh, I convinced him to move to Singer Island 15 years ago to be my neighbor because I wanted to be close to my friend. In fact, he's my campaign manager today. He's an African American. He's a former Air Force jet pilot and also the former risk manager of the village of Hempstead. And we're still best friends today. For anyone to make that kind of remark about me, clearly they don't know me and clearly they don't understand what racism is.
Nah, I know, and I've met him, and I don't know. It bothered me, but I'm not surprised. But it bothered me, so I apologize for that because we do have prejudice and racism. But you've been great to me, and I don't put my name on a lot of people. But to know you and know the things that you're doing in different communities when you don't have to, you're not hurt for money. You could be sitting somewhere under a tree, shirtless. But the fact that you try to help people, the fact of the things that you've helped me with, this is one of the best years I've had in my life. Just off some of the conversations and direction you've given me, wanting to see, be honest, just wanting to see people be successful, and me being African American, to see you give me free knowledge. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I should add, Horace, that I worked for 15 years for Mayor James Garner, who was the first black elected mayor in the state of New York. James Garner then became the president of the United States Conference of Mayors nationally. He and I are still close friends today. We do consulting work today. I've been rehired with him by the village of Hempstead to help them with their revitalization program, their downtown revitalization. Clearly, as I said before, people don't understand what racism is if they can say that I'm a racist. I'm just the opposite. I couldn't be more opposite. And I am truly grateful that you and I have become friends. And I cherish that.
Well, I thank you for giving me the benefit of the doubt, because like someone is out there saying that you're racist, people say that I was a bad guy and evil. So, you gave me the benefit of the doubt. Some you said in our conversation bothered me because it's factual. And for you to have that vested interest, it showed me that you did care. I mean, just knowing the stuff that me and you are trying to do in the community as projects, but education. Riviera Beach you've been put, since I've known you, you keep saying, why does Riviera Beach not have a community high school? But you made a note in our last conversation saying that only 76 kids out of Riviera Beach go to Suncoast. And you said like 1,800 or 1,200 kids go, like they go other places. Explain that to me.
Right. Close to 1,800 students in Riviera Beach, high school students, get bussed around to Dreyer, Palm Beach Gardens, all different high schools, rather than being here in Riviera Beach. They try to claim that Suncoast is our community high school, and only 76 of those children are going to Suncoast. A community evolves and revolves around its high school and around its churches. And it's very important that we have a community high school, a comprehensive community high school in the village, in the city of Riviera Beach. And I'm going to work very, very hard with the city council, because I know there are other members of the city council that agree with me. And we're going to work with the county, and we're going to see if we can get ourselves a comprehensive community high school. They did start to do one here years ago. The money was actually put in place, and then the money was transferred down to Boca. And I'm working closely with Robbie Littles on this and his group. He has an organization set up to try and make this happen, and I've become very close. I'm endorsed by Robbie Littles, and I'm working very, very hard to make this happen. When I become a councilman, I can assure you this is going to be on the top of the list.
Yeah, I can't listen. I'm excited because I'm like, for once, to have someone of your stature, I'm like, man, this really, like, you don't have to run, and the potential, just the ability to have that knowledge on the dais and somebody I feel like can put us forward. I'm excited about. But you got the water department, we got the city hall. Uh, I can't even think of all the other issues that we have. Um,
Well, we have the Marina project. We have all these projects, the City Hall project. All these are talked about, but we don't see anything coming out of the ground. I have a history of public-private partnerships, putting them together, and in construction and engineering, I have the ability in state and federal aid to make sure these projects come out of the ground. So I will work closely with our city council in setting legislation. We believe in oversight. I believe in oversight over the city manager. We'll give him. We believe in management. I believe in management by objective. So we'll give goals to the city manager and the city staff to achieve, and then we'll review them based upon these goals. But it's very important, and I hope to assist the city manager. I like our city manager. I hope that I can help make him the best city manager in the state of Florida. You know, I was a former city manager, and I'm an older man now. I've experienced a lot of things. I've made mistakes. I also learned a lot, and hopefully I can share that with our city manager and our staff.
yeah, I wanted to close out on that because two things that it bothers me,
Mhm.
that people don't have any fear of lying in politics. You know, people will say stuff and it's because they don't have a fear. And I feel like it's so disrespectful to the communities when people say anything to win, or they'll put a lie out there, and or they use fear mongering. And the other fear mongering tactic on this election was saying, "Oh, he's part of a corrupt group that wants to fire Jonathan," and that is furthest from the truth. And that's what probably set me over. That's furthest from the truth. Like you've always said, you like him, and you definitely want to see him excel. And that is the thing, going back to our initial topic today. You just need people to give that checks and balance to say, hey, as a young city manager, I want you to look at this, as a council person. You're not going outside of protocol, but you're
Right.
saying, this is what I want you to achieve in this part of the deal. In this water plant, I want these rights, or I want this type of installment to be applied, because this water plant is something that you're going to do, and it's going to benefit the community for 50 to 100 years. You won't be around, but the fact that you put that in place shows how a legacy can work, or a good administration should work.
Right. As a matter of fact, I had a very nice conversation with City Manager Evans yesterday,
Mm.
and I think that when I get on the city council, we'll have a very good working relationship. Uh, and yes, we have to move forward with these large projects. We must develop the waterfront in a manner that's going to benefit everyone in the city. We must make sure that it's financially sound, and that it's being developed correctly. We need that workforce housing, but we need to make sure that workforce housing is the workforce housing that we all want. That the people in the city of Riviera Beach can afford, because workforce housing in our city and workforce housing in another city, like West Palm Beach, are two different things, two different income levels. You sit on the housing authority with me. We know there's a very big difference between the availability for housing for people that live in Riviera Beach and West Palm Beach because of the income levels.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to make sure that the majority of our people can benefit from this development, not just people that come in from out of town. It's very important that we do not get involved in gentrification, that we have revitalization without gentrification.
That's what I wanted to hit on, Glenn, because on your mailer, you had people that said gentrification with revitalization, and that has been used so many times. Gentrify, they're going to gentrify. I am a successful black man, and I tried to get a home this weekend. We had some issues, and just to have someone that's talking about housing and affordable housing. So you have a home. So, most people don't even care, but you're talking about how to make sure we maintain a community and make it a reality for so many people. And so many people don't talk like you.
All right, what's the point in doing a revitalization if the majority of people aren't here anymore to enjoy it? The whole purpose is to revitalize it for the people that are here, not to revitalize it for people that are coming in from out of town. So I've done this before successfully, and I think we can do it here together in Riviera Beach. I think the will is here.
Well, you've done it everywhere else. I mean, you've been all around the world, but you've done it everywhere else. So that's what I leave with you.
Okay. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak today and to share my thoughts and your thoughts with all your friends and followers. And this was very enjoyable. And once again, I do cherish our friendship, and I'm sure that that's going to last a long time.
It will. Any closing comments for the people that are voting, or the people that say, who is Dr. Glen Spiritis? They don't know you already been doing the work, but what do you say to that voter that was on the fence or who doesn't know who Glen Spiritis is? Because I'm asking all my people just to share it. Because right now, this conversation has been informative. You know, we always say pros and cons. Just get to know Dr. Glen Spiritis and then make that educated vote. But you're my guy. So what do you say to those people in Riviera Beach?
Well, I say, first of all, look me up on voteglenspiritis.com. Look up my website. You'll learn a little bit more about me. You can contact me. I'll be more than happy to speak to anyone. But I'm a person that believes in faith-based projects. I believe that that's very important. I believe the church is very important to the community. I've worked very closely with the Baptist organizations in New York, and I'm starting to do the same thing down here in Florida. And if you vote for me, I can guarantee you that you will see your community revitalized, and that I will have an open ear. I will listen to what everybody has to say, and I can assure you that you'll be happy with what you get. So
what about small businesses?
All the small businesses, that's a specialty of mine. I believe that we have to take advantage of the SBA 504 loan programs. We have to develop a women and minority loan program and take a risk on our local people and our local businesses. Storefront programs. We've heard people talk about storefront programs. I've done this on a very large scale. I don't think we've seen one storefront program in this whole community. We've heard talk about it for the last 3 years, but I'm the person that can actually make it happen because I've done it before. I know how to do it, and I can do it again. I want to help the small businesses as much as I can. It's very, very important that we keep them here in the city. We don't force them to leave the city because of gentrification. Mm-hmm. It's very important that we work with them and build upon what we have here.
Yeah, because small business is what made Riviera Beach great at one time. The days when we had so many small businesses, there was a time that I didn't even have to leave my community. I had a movie theater, I had a grocery store. I had so many things in one community that I understood what a community was. Most people here can't understand community because they haven't seen it in 2 decades.
Right. I don't understand why Broadway and Blue Heron don't look like Atlantic Avenue and Delray.
Why don't we have a downtown?
Exactly. Why don't we have a downtown? That's a good question, and we have to start developing it. And
yeah.
I'm going to be willing to. I'm going to be the guy that's going to help you do that, and I'll do that through our policy and through our objectives with our city staff.
Yeah, and that's why I tell anyone, just have a conversation with them. That's the first thing I say. Just have a good conversation with them because facts and your record speaks for itself, man. So thank you for having this conversation with me. Say hello to the wife. And Hey, man, love you and good luck on this race. You got my support.
Same here. Love you too, Horace. Thank you again.
All right. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for a second. Bye.